Sure. Let's bring our allegiances up to full strength here. Johnny with the sled.
Probably more accurate.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
all. Alrighty. I suppose I better get through the agenda. All right. Has everyone approved the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. We need a second on the
Second.
motion. Ed?
Second.
Okay, motion is made by Jordan and seconded by Ed to approve the agenda as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes of June 15th, 2023.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion? Any questions, any things? I read it over. It looks pretty accurate. So all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The minutes are approved. Next order of business is the docket number BOA 8/17/23, number 1. Is a petition of Beth Kiefer, who seeks a variance regarding the following: to allow a subsurface sewage treatment system drain field 1 foot from property line instead of required 10 feet pursuant to chapter 13.6 of the Winona County zoning ordinance, SSTS standards adopted by reference up to the Minnesota rules 7080.2150 subpart 2, parentheses F, table 7. Is there staff that wishes to present the situation? Are you sure you have the right location, Alba? I think it's probably Dakota.
Yeah, right. Most of these are always in Dakota, it seems like, right? Dakota Dresbach. So this is one in part of the county.
All right.
They do have somewhat similar situations in other places too, but yeah, this one's in Elba. Again, similar to Dakota, where it's its own municipality. So they are in charge of their own planning and zoning within the borders of Elba. But the county is in charge of septic systems. So any on-site wastewater treatment systems that are being replaced or new within the city, just like every other city in the county, we need to issue a permit, review those, and inspect them. So this is one that is being replaced in the city of Elba, Section 3, Elba Township, located on Main Street North, which is also happens to be Highway 74. Also point out that all the addresses in Elba actually are Altura because the post office is there. So when you see an address, it's always going to be an Altura, but this is in Elba, so that's not a typo. You see here that it's on the north end of town as you head north. The blue line in this map is the parcel line, so you can see it's triangular in shape. It's quite small. It's barely fitting the existing building home. Home has a lean-to on the back that's open underneath, but for the most part, it's very constricted in size. That's the biggest problem with the site. There is a well, which we've got a toolbar here that's blocking it, but at the very top of the parcel, you can just see the very bottom of the blue circle up there under stop sharing. That is actually the well. It's inside the building. So it is a Sandpoint well. It's old, and that's what is used for water on site. The thing is about a Sandpoint well is that it has a 100-foot setback from the wellhead to a septic system. So when we're looking at the drain field for the septic system, it has to be 100 feet away. So that was also a consideration here, is that it even further cut down on the area that we had to work with. And you can see it pushed it all the way down in that very bottom corner. There's also a large tree there that was probably 3 feet in diameter. That has been removed, but the stump also was consideration because this is an in-ground system. There was a large stump right on the edge of our usable area. So we were fitting it kind of in between property lines, well, and a large stump on the property. Luckily for us, it was a 2-bedroom home. So it's small, smaller gallons per day that are used for our sizing. So it was a little bit smaller system. And so the designer, Darren Hufschulte, was looking at the site, and based on the soils and site specifics about constrained size we had to work with, we decided a pressurized bed was the best option. Pressurized bed is essentially like an acreate or a mound. It's pressurized, so the water comes down. There's a pump that distributes the wastewater through the drain field equally. Whereas like a gravity system, it would be starting at the beginning of a trench and then filling it up depending on how much water you have, and then it'll move on to the next trench and the next trench if you have enough water. But the beginning of the system gets most of the dosing. A pressurized system doses evenly throughout the whole system. So it's a little bit more efficient. In this case, it's gonna be in the ground. They'll use chambers, and then the pipes will run through the chambers, and then it'll be covered, and that will be the drain field. The water will go into the ground and be treated in the soil just like a normal septic system. The existing system that's here, the reason for the replacement is, as you can see, there's a dry well located on the parcel to the south. And to the best of our knowledge, that's most likely where the wastewater from this property goes. You can see there is a tank. So plumbing, it would come out, go into that tank, and then it leaves that tank and goes somewhere. We're under the impression that it's going to that dry well. The dry well is actually on the neighbor's property, and the neighbor's property is owned by the city of Elba. So the reason that is because it was bought out after, I believe, the 2007 flood. And so there's nothing on that property anymore. The existing home was removed. There's a old foundation that's up there, but that's it, along with this dry well that's on the site. The city did review the petition, and they're keen to have the dry well abandoned as well. So they've given the property owner and the contractor the ability to access the property, both for the construction of this system as well as to abandon properly the existing dry well system. I talked about, alluded to the floodplain. This is the best data that we have available for flood zone. This is the new data that DNR has presented to us. You can see the blue is the AE. A zones are a 100-year flood zone, the regulated flood zone. And then the light green there is the 500-year flood zone. So that's unregulated, but is still mapped there. So you can see how that goes, lays across the property. The proposed drain field is primarily, it's not in the regulated 100-year flood zone. So that's good. It will be partly in that 500-year flood zone, which doesn't have any regulatory significance other than just to show you that, and the property owner to show you all that there is a potential that flood waters could get up and around that septic system in the future. probably like it did around 2007. And in those situations, would just want to limit water usage because it's not going to be taking on any more water. It'll be flooded. But that's very rare. That should happen. For the most part, it should be high and dry and be operating smoothly. I have a couple photos here to show you to give you an idea of the lay of the land. This is from the neighbor's property, the city-owned property, looking at the Kiefer parcel. There's actually, it's probably hard to see, but there are stakes in the ground where the drain field would go in front of and to the right of the propane tank there. There's a little bit closer. You can see the stakes maybe a little bit better in that area. The stump from the tree is visible as well. And Bigfoot in the background. And then here's, you can see the Kiefer property, the front of the house, and then Highway 74 or North Main Street to the northeast as it leaves Elba. As I mentioned before, the city of Elba did consider the petition and opted to not make comments. But like I said, I have heard that they were more than willing to let them access that piece of property to abandon the existing dry well. As always, the Board of Adjustment should consider all materials and testimony that make up the record and make findings that support the decision. The staff analysis and draft findings do support granting the variance if that's the way that you would like to go. And we have attached 2 conditions to the petition for your consideration. That's all I have for presentation. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Kelsey?
So the picture on this one, in what I'm assuming is their diagram, it says the well and the septic are 100 feet apart, but in this one it says 90.
Right. So that was the packet was put together before we were able to verify that. Yeah, we went out with Ross Dunsmore on, gosh, was that just Monday? He works with the Department of Health. He's a county employee, works with the Department of Health on well code issues. And so he went out and is really the authority on verifying that setback. I was concerned. I thought they were over exaggerating the distance, and they were. I think their measurements were off. But we were able to get an exact location, and then we changed the layout of the drain field just this week, and I got some design forms from the designer based on that. It wasn't necessarily that important for this decision, because if they weren't meeting it, it was going to be close. It would just mean that they would have to go through the Department of Health for a well variance. And Ross he thought that would have been doable as well. So in this case, but luckily we were able to reconfigure and make it still fit our notice, which was a foot from the property line, and still meet that setback. So
Just one typo on page 2. It says Wilson Township. I mean, yeah, I know it's a typo.
yeah.
It caught my attention because I'm in Wilson Township, so.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Lou,
Go ahead, yeah.
that neighboring lot can never have anything built on it, right?
Correct. It's very limited what they can do with it. I think there are some, and Eric could actually probably speak better to that piece. Is a little bit off subject, but yes, it's really limited what they can do. I think there is some public use that could be allowed there, but only small investments that don't represent flood risk.
Could Alba give an easement to put the drain field on there?
Well, that's something that could be looked into. Again, with those types of parcels, there is a regulatory, it's not an easy decision for them just to say yes or no. I think they'd have to talk with FEMA and the DNR. And see what the restrictions are there. But potentially a septic system, I would think, could be something that could be considered.
But this would solve the problem, so.
Yeah, this is, I mean, as always, we'd rather it be on their property and
This
not be an
essentially
easement.
I mean, essentially, when it's done, it'll be lawn that can be mowed, et cetera, used for recreation and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, whatever the city, if that's how they
I
wanted to
mean,
manage it.
where the drain field is on the,
Oh, where the drain field is, it will be in ground. Yep, and it'll be grassed over and mowed.
right, so
Yep.
it'll be, right.
Just
You
like
won't
a
lose any space.
little patch of lawn. Yep.
And from the ground view pictures too, I see that the house is well above the floodplain because it's 2-story, so it's ground level.
Yep.
And then down, which, doesn't show up there, but then it's,
There, if you look at those pictures too,
Yeah.
you'll see that, yeah, there is a,
where the cars are parked is, yeah,
yep,
you can go right in.
yep, there is a foundation underneath and a basement below. Yep.
So the main house is well above anyhow.
Yep, she's up high and dry there. I'd say the proposed septic system is in the lowest point in the yard and on the property.
As the history of Elba is with property lines, are we sure that this property is on its own property?
A good
I-
question, given Elba, it's a fair question. Yes,
Not that it matters here, I mean,
there has been a survey and there were pins in the ground.
Okay,
So we were able to get a really accurate reading on that.
okay, just curious. Any other
Mhm.
questions for Lou? If not, thank you, Lou.
You bet.
And would the petitioner have a presentation or just want to ask questions or anything? Was it Beth Mary? Yeah, just state your name and address just for the record.
Okay, my name is Beth Keeper. My address is 1275 North Main Street, Altura, Minnesota. And yeah, I'm the owner of the property and I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I
very
think
much.
Lou went over everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Does anybody have any questions for?
No.
Okay, well, thank you. And
You're
then if
welcome.
we do have any, we'll ask. All right, is anyone wish to make a motion?
Do we need to do a public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion
Good,
to
yeah.
open the public hearing.
And is there a second? Council, is your chance. Kelsey, okay.
Seconds.
Okay, the motion has been made to open the hearing to the public by Jordan and seconded by Kelsey. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The meeting is open to the public for any input. So is there anyone who wishes to present concerning, for, against, information, et cetera, on this petition? For the second time, is there anyone who wishes to address the petition BOA 8/1723, number 1? And for the third and final time, is there anyone who wishes to address this petition? If not,
I'll make a motion to close
Okay.
the public hearing.
is there a second? Kelsey? Okay, the motion has been made by Jordan to close the public hearing and seconded by Kelsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay, the meeting is closed to the public and open to discussion of the board members.
I would make a motion to approve this variance with the findings of fact as written and the conditions attached.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, okay, the motion has been made to approve the variance petition with all the conditions attached. And is there discussion? And I assume everyone has read, I've read through all the findings, petitions, and assume everyone else has. Any questions? If not, all those in favor of granting the variance as petition as written here, with the conditions, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. The variance is granted. And I will read the conditions or the statement. All decisions by the Board of Adjustment in granting variances or in hearing appeals from any administrative order, requirement, decision, or determination shall be final, except that any aggrieved person or persons or any department, board, or commission of the jurisdiction or of the state shall have the right to appeal within 30 days after receipt of the notice of the decision to the district court in the county in which the land is located on questions of law and fact. Any party that would like to submit an appeal to the decision rendered at the public hearing must do so through the district court. Planning and Environmental Services is not responsible for filing the appeal or obtaining representation by the counsel for the petitioner. And with that, what's next on the agenda? I assume it's,
Motion to adjourn?
okay, that's a motion.
That is a motion.
And a second? Kelsey,
Second.
okay. The motion was made and to adjourn by Jordan and seconded by Kelsey. I don't know if we're allowed discussion. We'll vote on all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay for just for the record.